Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly.
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 Welcome to the Smart Bar, home of the Franciscan University Men's Basketball Coaching Show. I'm Mark Meslowski. I'm here with assistant coach Adam Martello and head coach Joe Wallace. Today's is sponsored by the Smart Bar. First question to Coach Wallace is, I've noticed from the previous season to this season, a little bit more youth out there on the court, losing some key scoring players from last year.
Yep.
Speak about that youth and coming in with a kind of some players that's playing a little bit more minutes, and some guys that's been on the at the college level on the floor for the first time.
Yeah, that's been the theme really at the start of the season right now is not only like the youth we have some freshmen in key positions, but we also have guys that have been veterans that have had to step into leadership roles and more minutes on the court, and we're seeing at times, especially on the offensive end, we're not quite on the same page right now.
Yes.
I mean, and that's a little bit of our struggles, but it's a good right. I mean, we're going through we're playing tough competition, and we're learning a lot about our group, and that's why we feel so optimistic right now, not only for the rest of the season, but down the road with this team, because we do have we're going to have a lot coming back. But right now, even like going to Wednesday night, freshmen having to learn and, playing at Geneva. Geneva is one of the best offensive teams in the country, and I thought we did a hell of a job defending them.
Yeah.
We did. But you see, like, the thing, with Sawyer, I know we'll talk a little bit more about Sawyer, but Sawyer had an unbelievable game against Grove City, and people know him now.
Yeah.
And the physicality and having to understand that he's going to be, a marked man at times on the court, and having to make those adjustments too. And then we talked about the other freshman, Carl Yonku, played a lot, and he played like a man on the defense end, but he's got to learn that defense is about like aggression and playing hard and fast. Offense, you got to relax a little bit more, let the feel come to him. Yeah.
And Adam, just have you noticed some things differently at practice of some of this, new blood, new youth coming in, with some of the continuity?
Yeah, I think the big thing I've noticed is how well the older guys have brought along the younger guys. Really, that's to me what stands out. We talk about the youth that's playing with Sawyer. Carl's an unbelievable athlete, so he's going to fit in.
Yeah.
Sawyer has a great basketball IQ. He's obviously a very good basketball player. He's going to fit right in. He's going to be able to mesh and play off guys that we have. But what has stood out to me hasn't necessarily been as much those guys adjusting as much as it's been the older guys bringing them along to show them what we expect from them on a daily basis. And I think they've done a great job with that.
Yes. And and you're right, having youth, having freshmen, first-year players, them, being some major part of your team this year. But speak on some of the players like last year, some of your role players last year, and how they're doing so far this year, Coach Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, so like on Wednesday night, Derek Darrow, came in as a freshman from John Marshall, actually got hurt his first game as a freshman and redshirted, and then last year still coming back off the surgery, and then got pretty good minutes January into February, but just still wasn't feeling quite right with it, so we kind of shut him down at the end. And Derek's done a great job of not only what Coach Martello is saying about setting the example for these younger guys, but on the court right now. I mean, he had a nice game Wednesday. Derek's play style, he's really understanding who he is as a player. He is he's a physical guard. He's as strong as he gets, and he's using that to his advantage right now. So yeah, Derek thrusted into a major role. Nick Alianello's played a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
He's been a jack of all trades for us
and made an unbelievable shot. Wow, you couldn't be happier for him for that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
just crazy. Yeah,
Nick's done. Yeah, and we talked about it after the game. He's done so much for the program on and off the court, and just to see him keep taking these steps as a player and as a man, I mean, that's been big. And he was him and the other guy we were going to talk about was Joe Ciola, who's on and off the bench a little bit last year. Minutes were down, but now he's thrown into a major role too. But the two of those guys were sick. They're actually roommates, and they both had the flu on Wednesday. Nick was still pretty sick yesterday. Joe was at practice, so we're kind of seeing how those two guys respond. Yeah, they're tough as it gets, both of them, especially Joe. I mean, Ciola he's like a soldier. I mean, he really is.
Yeah, I was watching the LSU game last night, and Kim Mulkey, they cut her and talked about people don't realize basketball's a 9-month season over fall, winter, and spring.
Yeah.
So there's things that coaches have to look at. At Coach Martello about health reasons and stuff like that. So as a coach, how do you deal with that at practice, making sure you have numbers, getting ready for the game?
Yeah,
we don't care. No, I'm joking. No, we do.
We haven't had to. I mean, we carry a larger roster, so number-wise, that hasn't been too big of a problem for us. But it's been good that we carry the larger roster because we have, as you know, you've been following, you've been there. We've had some significant injuries. We have guys out.
Yep.
We have a freshman right now. It's a pretty significant ankle issue. That has him sidelined. Malachi Rose Burton's
out.
So, but that's one of the nice things about having the bigger roster is you still have numbers. I think from the big thing we try to drill into these guys' heads is just taking care of themselves.
Yes.
Right? Get enough sleep, eating right.
Yeah.
Not as much as everyone loves Sheets, not going to Sheets at 2 in the morning.
Correct.
Getting the NCO food,
Yes.
No dig on Sheets.
Yeah.
We all love
We
Sheets.
love Sheets.
Still,
at our age, it's fine.
Maybe not the best time for a basketball player.
Yeah.
That's the big thing is we just try to harp on that and having them understand that, especially freshmen, that they're not 16-year-old kids that can just bounce back, and sleep through school anymore. That's not how it works.
No.
And so some learn faster than others. Ours, I think, have been pretty good with that this year.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah. And going back to like what we talked about with guys thrust in, I mean, and you got Frank Bellissimo, who not on the stat sheet right now is showing, but his basketball IQ, the way he's changed his body, is really producing dividends. It's just now he's got to take this next step, and we got to help him with that to get loose a little bit more, to hit some shots. But he is right here. It's unbelievable right now how much he's taken a step with that, and especially on the defensive end. I mean, he's become like reliable, very reliable, and not just reliable, but just his communication, his awareness of what actions the other teams are running it's been unbelievable, that change, because he comes in as a freshman, thrown into the mix. Really, once we got into December, he started playing a lot, and he had some games that it was up and down as a freshman. Things have been steady with this performance, but we got to help him out more, and he's got to feel a little bit better with finding his spots to get free right now. We need it. I mean, as you can tell, our offense. Yeah. It is what it is. You can look at the numbers.
You're right.
It hasn't been. It's been bad, really. Let's just be honest. It's been bad, and we're making some tweaks. We got to keep tweaking it and keep teaching and coaching it, because we got players. We got guys that are still learning right now.
And I understand what you're saying there, Coach. But you guys are competing, so offensively, right? Maybe a little bit struggling and getting some other kids more opportunity. So how are you staying in those games? I mean, I could tell our fans and people, but I want you to tell them, what is it? Defense end, grittiness,
Yes, yeah. I mean, defensive focus and intensity has definitely been picking up. I mean, you go into the first game, it's already crazy. I mean, we haven't played that long. You look at the first game in the home opener, and we weren't that defensively. We weren't focused. We did not. We let a lot of comfort out there, and you're learning, right? And since that point, I think we've really taken big steps forward. Besides, kind of at Bethany, we didn't play well on the defense end of that game, but the rest of it has been. Honestly. Geneva, we talked about it, like the analytical numbers. I mean, we guarded them better than anybody has right now, and to do that and not make shots like we were is really a testament to your mental toughness too.
Correct.
Because because what ends up happening, and we talked about this last night, is like, there's these plays around the rim we're missing. We're not asking us to be perfect, but if we're able to just make the right play and finish a couple of them. We score. Our defense is set. When our defense is set, I mean, we're pretty good at we're pretty good in that moment, and that's something we got to continue to keep moving forward with. But you're talking a gritty group, a physical group, a group that does take pride in guarding. And that's the other thing. Like we talk about the offense getting better, but the defense is going to continue to get better as a lot of these guys, even our older guys. They've played in a different style last year until we had to really flip things. And now it's more back to, half-court defense, physicality, spending way more time, scouting opponents and prep work. And it's a different mentality you have to have of focus and practice now. Because before, when you're pressing, we're just trying to take people out of whatever they're doing and getting possessions and making it fast and uncomfortable. Now it's in a different way, so it takes more on this level. So...
There's two players I want to talk about. I'm going to give Adam the first one. The first one is senior Josh Zimmerman, and you've been around Josh. Now, you knew his playing days locally here at Big Red Assuba High School, and him being a huge part of your program. Just speak about Josh's development over the last couple of years and your thoughts about Josh here a little bit.
I think both of us could talk for probably hours about that, because I mean, and not just on the basketball court. Like if you watch Josh in high school, right, the DNA is still there, right? He still wants to, run the floor, still wants to score in transition. He's long, he's athletic, he gets to the rim, all that stuff. The DNA is still there, but the maturity and the IQ is just developed immensely from that, right? And he sees things before they happen sometimes. And I think the big thing with him on the court is the leadership aspect that he's kind of taken on, right, and getting guys and putting them in the right places and kind of just keeping the group together, I think is a big thing for him. And that's the biggest part on the court that I think we've seen develop. Like if you watch his game in high school, you're going to recognize that it's Josh Zimmerman playing, right? But what you're not going to see in high school is him huddling guys up and him talking to guys and making sure that everyone's doing the right thing and all that stuff. And that's where he's taken huge strides here. And then off the court, I mean, the kid's been I mean, it's just a total transformation from Josh, from a responsibility and maturity standpoint, all of it. Not that he was ever bad at that stuff, but I mean, it's just he's come so far on that.
Exactly.
So it's been really good to see.
And I'm glad to hear you say that, Coach Bertello, because you've seen that growth with him. For the past 4 years, and and he should be proud of himself there too. Now going on the other end, you can talk about his IQ. I believe you really have a true good point guard this year that has a really good IQ, came back from a good high school basketball program that puts the time and effort in. And, talk a little bit about who was newcomer of the week, Sawyer Butler, a little bit this year. I don't want to compare him to Josh, but, you know what you've had with Josh.
Yeah.
What do you see Sawyer, and what kind of difference maker can he be part of your team now and maybe even a little bit in the future?
Oh, I mean, we can't answer what that kid could be with his ceiling. I mean, we really can't. I mean, you're talking a kid that's at point guard that's pushing 6'3" right now.
Yeah.
But it's like this. He's so coachable. Yes. He's cerebral. Yeah. He listens. He asks good questions. You take that with the hard work that he puts in because he does. He's a worker. He's got gifts too. He's got God-gifted talent too as well. But he's tough. Yeah, he's a tough kid, and he's really embraced that, being around the culture that our older guys have set. Yeah. And he's a guy that we're seeing when times are getting tough. He's gonna, like all of us, I think it's the mentality of his program is that if that brick wall, we just
Yeah.
We don't try to go around it.
No,
Sometimes we just
go
try to put
through.
our head through it.
Yeah.
Which is what we're learning right now. Sometimes there's a smarter way of doing things, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just got to knock the wall down.
And Coach, Side Coach and I, we're doing your games. That's one thing we noticed right away of his assertiveness. How many first-year players, freshmen come in, not scared to take
He's
a
not
shot,
scared.
not nervous to take a shot, and that's what you need. And in him being able to understand your program, right away, I really
He's
I think
definitely that's one thing
gets
he
in
really
his buy-in, right?
He really right away with that, and that's you could see that you could see game one, even though his percentages were pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's that fine line. And that's what we're learning. He's learning right now, and we talk about tempo with him a lot.
Yeah.
Like we used to think about shifting a car like a race car. You got to go from gear 5 to 2 at times,
Yeah.
and he's got to find those moments when it's 2 is better than 5.
And is that where you think the difference between Josh and maybe where Sawyer is right now is Josh knows the bodies and the president of the conference. He kind of knows the height what you could do where Sawyer, in high school basketball, you're not playing. You might play against 6'4" guys, but you're not playing against 6'4" guys who got big, strong muscles and pretty big
he's
bodies.
learning that.
Yeah,
He's learning that. It's how many games? I don't even know how many games this kid played now. We played 5, right?
And I look at the stats.
and you're
He's
just-
averaging 16 points a
Yeah,
game.
and the thing with Sawyer, sorry, I didn't cut you
No.
off, Coach, but the thing with Sawyer is like every game he's learned something from that last game, right?
Yep.
So like the Geneva especially, that's a game he's learned the adjustment it takes from high school to college now with the physicality of the players and the higher IQ of the players and all that stuff. So like, in high school things aren't going well for him, right? He's going to put his head down, he's going to finish it for him.
Correct.
Right? Now he's learning that's not always going to be, he's not always going to be able to do that, right?
no, yeah.
But that's like some freshmen and some players take a year to learn that. This kid learned it in one game.
Yeah.
Right. And on the coachability aspect of that, and like how he changes the program, he came in like Sawyer. Obviously, he's very skilled offensively.
Yes.
Right. He's a very just good, skilled offensive player. Didn't care at all about guarding.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't. I mean, not one bit when he
I
came
don't think.
in.
Yeah.
Right. He
I
did.
get it. Yeah.
3 practices in, he's asking us, "How's my defense? Is my defense getting better? What can I do to improve on my
Yeah,
defense?"
that's
He's not even
the thing.
talking to us about
Yeah,
offense,
yeah.
right? Because he knows that we need that.
Yeah.
Right. And now
Well,
that's-
part of that was we didn't practice offense for the first, and I think you could tell maybe we should have thought about that.
Percentages,
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
That's and now he's a kid that I can depend on to put on one of the other team's better players and most skilled guards, right? Because I know that he's going to do exactly what we need him to do. He's a kid that you tell him to do one thing one time and he does it forever. That's really impressive from a freshman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to Josh, going to that Grove City game.
Yeah.
And I think a key moment of it, like leadership and trust, trust his teammates, trust.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 2-point game. The ball's in his hands, and he's driving.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The right play was the right play that he made
Exactly.
to trust with Nick
Nick,
open in the
you're
corner.
correct, yeah.
And that's his teammate, and he trusts
Exactly.
that was the right play. And
Yeah.
that shows that's a lot of maturity. That's
Yeah.
a lot of
That's a lot-
trust.
I agree.
It's trust, and it's
Because a player like that in high school, they're taking that shot.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not thinking one more. They're not thinking
No,
that
they're
one
not.
more pass,
No.
right? And I think, the thing I like about during your games is that you're continuing learning about basketball, learning of the game. I played growing up,
Yeah.
I coached, but you're constantly learning. And, I truly believe, I played in the high athletic conference.
Yep.
The President Athletic Conference is tough. Week in, week out,
it
right?
is,
You're playing every Wednesday and Saturday mostly.
Yep.
You're improving. Those schools are improving as well. And I guess in this segment here, I'd like to talk a little bit about the team that you're going to be playing on Saturday, Chatham University, who are defending champions right now. And we talked a little bit about the standings. They're currently 2-2. You guys are 1-3. St. Vincent's 3-0. It's still early, right?
Yeah.
But it's been a long season. You think about it already. We've had
Feels like
6-7 weeks already right now. So what can you speak about anything that on Chatham and maybe the league itself?
Yeah, well, Chatham, I mean, every year is they're going to be, if not the top offensive team in the conference or win the top 3. They've always just had offensive firepower. They can shoot the ball. They spread the floor. They run really good action. They have guys that fit their offense. They shoot the ball extremely well.
I know
we're going to have to be good thing is we're back home. You know, we've
Yeah.
been on the road a lot this early part of the season, which has challenged us, and tight games on the road are tough. But being back home, I think it's going to provide another. It does.
yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And we're playing tomorrow night, which I would assume that we're going to have a pretty big student section tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And you know, that helps. But we're going to have to be really locked in and focused defensively because it's a lot of movement, a lot of misdirection, a lot of screening action, a lot of communication is going to be at a high level because they share the ball really well.
Yeah.
They got guys that go and they have guys that have transferred in that are, you know, mature guys, and you know, we're going to have some young pups guarding them. So yeah.
Just to let everybody know that tomorrow night the girls open up at 4 p.m. and the men's team will play at 6 p.m. at Finnegan Fieldhouse against Chatham University. Just speaking a little bit about new players coming in the league, and you know, you got a game on Wednesday, right? And then all of a sudden it's Thursday, and you got to get ready, and no personnel on the other team.
Yeah.
There, Adam. What's your role, or maybe some other assistant's role in identifying, you know, some of the maybe new players, you know, because you know, Coach Wallace and I were talking about their roster, and when I was looking at it, you know, I see their hometown, their high school, their previous college, and then now, and that's, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, you might have some new players coming in this season that did play last year, and so how do you guys work on that on scouting, or just getting an idea of what they're going to do on Saturday?
That's a good question. So the three of us assistants, myself, Coach Spillman, Coach Kirk, all rotate scouts. So, you know, if one of us has a scout Wednesday, we're not going to have that scout Saturday. Right?
Yeah.
So, and both of those guys do a great job on their scouts and getting a lot of detail out of their scouts, which is big. So you have some time in between, which lets you do some research and find some info on some guys that maybe transferred in, or a freshman that might be playing. You know, WJ has a freshman that plays. You know, maybe two of them, and Chatham I think does as well. And so, you know, if you have some time between some scouts, you have some time to do some research, right? You can go and find some highlights from those guys, you know, and nowadays everyone has highlights on social media and everything else. So you can at least get an idea as to what they were like.
Yeah.
We're 8 games in now. So if guys are playing, you have some film. So, you know, especially the second half of the season, it doesn't change much.
No,
you know, so we don't have to do too much legwork in the second half of the season unless there's transfers in the semester and stuff like that, which we don't have to worry too much about usually. But, I mean, transfers are difficult because they play different roles, right? They might be one place and not playing much or playing a different role. Transfer in and now they're doing something totally different, or they worked on their skills in the offseason and it changes. So those guys are difficult, and freshmen can be difficult. But I think we have a pretty good system with rotating through the assistants. And, like I said, Coach Spillman, Coach Kirk, they do a great job on the scouts.
Thank you. Let everyone, you listen to High Valley Sports Online. We're at Spot Bar, here on historic South 4th Street in Stephenville High. Here with Coach Martell and Coach Wallace. One thing I enjoy is all the veteran coaches you get to go against here in your President Athletic Conference League. You know, the last game we did, you know, I believe the team was running a flex offense, and that's something that has been around for 25, 30 years, and there's a lot of things you could do to prepare for it, but you know, once that game comes and being able to get through screens and talk and communicate, as a coach, how do you feel about going against some of these veteran coaches? Is it easier because you're younger? Is it harder because they're experience, or would you?
I don't really even think about that. But it talks about the league in these places, and guys get their head coaches or they don't leave because it's good situations. So that's what that means on that end. But like, you know, talking about, you know, Grove City running the flex, you got to prep for it. I mean, then Geneva goes totally different. We got to prep for that, and then we're going to see something totally different. Tomorrow night. And it's just in the way we defend, we have to. That's why the scouting is so important because they're ahead of it. We play like Wednesday night at Geneva, and then Wednesday night after the game, we're talking about what. And then it's a fine line. You got to worry about us too, right? So then to me, I got to watch our game. Got to and then. So it's nonstop at this point. It's just the way it goes. It's just nonstop. You're watching video, watching us, watching them, and what what can we do, against the next team that can take them out of things that they like to do, right? And what is or things that we can really, prepare and like the one thing is when you have younger guys and veteran guys is like, how can you make it simple for them to understand? And that was like with the flex, it's like, well, how do we make this simple for them? There's certain things you have to make simple. And that'll be the same thing, at practice tonight. Like, how can we make a few of these actions simple for them to guard, and and what we're going to do differently that other teams don't. So,
and I think you make a good point. Earlier you said about offensively, they're not there where you want. I think from the first game to when you defended the flex, just almost 100% better.
Yes.
To be able to do that, and I encourage local high school players, boys and girls, come out and watch Franciscan University women's and men's basketball, because there's a lot that you can learn just watching the game. I thought you defended really well. I like watching I'm like a veteran guy, I guess, because my dad coached for years, and I played for Jim Burson, coached for years.
Yep.
I like watching coaches on the side. This guy is great to watch. That's where the kids get the grittiness from. But I like watching that opposing coach. And, the last game, you guys defending the flex so well, and I could tell that I'm not saying he was getting frustrated, but I think he was impressed the way that you guys played defensively against that.
Because then, you saw what they did in the second half.
Yes.
They didn't abandon it, but they were just trying to isolate us at that point.
Yes.
And not being as smart and not trusting.
Yeah.
We played a short bench that game.
Of course.
And they played 12 guys, I think 10 minutes plus.
Yeah,
we were gassed.
Exactly,
we were gassed defensively down the stretch, and we just found enough to get that win. And we have to. That's part of us still being in this stage of the season where we're still learning a lot about different guys, and we have to give more opportunities and keep a fresher, longer bench, because it's crazy how we played before. We were playing 1 million guys, and now we went into that game. We basically played 8 guys.
Yeah,
and they played an army of people that game.
Exactly.
So.
I love watching the opposing coach, especially when I know a timeout's coming because you guys did something kind of different or, got them frustrated.
We did a nice job mixing up the defense. We went to the 1-3-1 that game. We felt like that was going to be a disruptor.
Love that defense.
We had to pull in and out with that. And there's other things that we can do, with other teams that we feel in the league that can kind of disrupt. And that's what we have to do defensively because our offense does go off our defense.
Yes.
I mean, we're good in transition.
Yeah, very good.
So if we're getting stops and we're able to run on people,
Question for Coach Martello here. Do you wish you could go back to the 6 o'clock morning practices at Big Red and the Millsop Center? Or are you glad that the way things are working out this year and being able to get on your court?
There's nothing I want less than to have to practice at 6 a.m. again every day. I will say, I love bringing the guys to the Millsop Center.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool Ohio Valley
Me too.
cultural thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Sumo Big Red was phenomenal to us in that season. I never want to have to be there before 10 a.m. every day.
Exactly.
So
I think maybe at one practice Saturday or something at those places. I think it's a big key. I believe they put new lights into the gym.
New lights,
I can see better. First, I thought I know I got new glasses, but I think I can see a lot better.
It's a lot better.
In the gym, and I think, like you said, and Adam or Coach Ross, you guys speak on this. I think coming in there to play, the environment has to be one of the best Division III environments at Franciscan University with your fans and students coming to watch you guys. I would think when the other teams looked at the schedule, they know there's going to be a packed house, and you can't always say that at all Division III programs, right?
I got a story for that actually. So I won't mention any names.
Okay.
I was recruiting this past couple of months, and I ran into a kid that played at another PAC school.
Yeah.
And he's no longer playing there. He graduated and all that stuff. But I just happened to run into him at this place I was at, and he's we talked. What are you doing now? What are you up to? All that stuff. And he asked me, because I had a question for you. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Is that environment just for that game? The school that I play at? I don't want to mention any names."
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It was nuts." And I said, "He goes, is it just that game?" I was like, "No, that's pretty much every game in the field house." And it's the truth. Like if you came to the Grove City game, like that environment was unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's people sitting on the floor. The students. I mean, the entire section was filled with students. It was loud. It was exciting.
And we were on break.
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
We're
Yeah, because
You know?
Coach Raymond and I, we were talking about like we were getting a little bit nervous because the girls' game, the crowd wasn't very there. Then all of a sudden we peek out.
Yeah, and that's
It's
like,
huge.
and we have like students that'll text us that are like, "Hey, we're coming tonight. Here's the student section theme."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Great, let's do it." So, they're really great.
And then has that always been the case, or have you since you guys because you guys have worked together for how long? Coach Martello, you and Coach Wallace?
I don't even know how-
More than 5 years.
Yeah, 6 seasons.
Yeah, 6 seasons. Has it always been that way, or
It started to happen then.
Yeah.
When we started to have some success. That's
Yeah.
when things started to pick up. And
Yeah.
we had a good group of students at that point. They kind of started setting the tone with it, and it just
Yeah.
kind of keeps carrying right now.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Coach Wallace, I have an intern. I'm going to shout out his name, Noah Fuller.
Yeah.
Told Noah to listen today and trying to get him to come to a game
Yeah.
and
The more the merrier.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun. I would love to see the
There's
student
nothing.
section.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we all play and
Yeah.
you go to game and you see some fun student sections, some neat things.
Yeah.
Like that's just part
of it,
Part
yeah.
of it, and it's a long season, but man, it's so enjoyable. I know we're partial, but just watching the game, the skill level you have to do on both ends of the court, and you could be successful on offense and not score a point, right?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Yeah, it happens
and then
a lot.
just to be able to kind of recover here as well. So just a couple more questions here, and we'll let you guys go get ready for practice here. Get ready for Chatham University tomorrow. So overall, what is Coach Rush so far your outlook on the season so far with your players and their development? Obviously you came to the season with, a mindset, and what are some things that you're happy with, or some things that you think that maybe we do need to improve on a little bit once second semester comes, second half of our league games?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious is just the offensive focus right now has to improve. Can look too chaotic at times, and running a motion offense, and we're learning. It's going to keep looking that way, and we just need to look a little better, just a little better. We're not asking for perfection. Attitudes have been unbelievable. I mean, even yesterday coming back in the gym, it's energized. You walk in there, it's not like, it's the energy's up right away. Guys it's been that way, and that goes to the leadership of the team. So that, the grittiness, the resiliency, only really one moment of this team we didn't see the resiliency, and that was the last 7 minutes of the Bethany game.
Yep.
And that was just, we didn't play well at all that day. And that's a team that we've had their number, they wanted to change it, and they did, and hats off to them, but we weren't ourselves.
Yep.
But the resiliency has definitely been there, and the grittiness is
That's great.
you can't that's one thing that we take pride in, and they've done that. So
And Coach Martello, I know you're really dressed above for the occasion, but I know, and you are
I
busy.
knew you were coming.
Oh, I appreciate
I've
that.
been impressed.
I-
Mark Maslowski.
What you being with Coach Wallace and all the time and dedication you put with him, what's your satisfaction out of this season? Or why do you put this time and effort in?
Well, I think the biggest, the shortest answer to that is that's because that's also what we expect of our players, right? So if we're telling them and asking them, you need to give all this time, right? You need to be in the gym, you need to take care of your body, you need to sacrifice time with your family and friends doing social stuff, right? You got to stay up on school, you're doing all this stuff that you're expected to do, right? Then we should be expected to do that too, right? So we should be expected to put the time in to prepare these guys and put them in a position to go and win a game, right? And it's twofold, right? It's preparing at practice every day, and it's recruiting to bring in players that can help you win games too, right? Both of those things. And so if we're asking them to do this stuff for us, right, and for the school, then we should be doing the same thing for them. Yeah. That's the biggest part of it. The personal satisfaction is you get to see these guys get better and grow, on a personal level and as players, right? And then eventually go out and be successful and live good lives.
Yes,
right?
correct.
And that's the personal satisfaction part of it. But I think that the immediate, what's in front is, we're never, at least I think both of our positions, we're never going to ask you to do something we're not going to do.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to ask you to run through that wall if we wouldn't run through the wall. Right? And so I think that it's just a leadership by example type of thing. So I think that's the answer.
And I agree with both you guys. You could tell that the players look up to you guys, or you know, they're playing the way you guys want them to play. I've enjoyed being part of this program. Just the little bit I have. I'd like for everybody to come out tomorrow night at 6 o'clock and watch our Francisco University Barons basketball play against Chatham University. Girls game will start at 4 o'clock. You listen to High Valley Sports Online. We're here at the Smart Bar. We'll see everybody Saturday night. Thank you.
Perfect.
Good job, man.
Great job.
Yeah.